Hi, everyone. So today I want to talk about this crazy rib injury that I had to deal with this month. I want to talk about how it impacted my entire life. So emotional, physical, mental. I want to share with you some of the tools that I use to assist me with my recovery. And I also want to invite you to a very special workshop that I'm hosting this Sunday, November 12th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, which utilizes some of these exact tools that I used during my recovery. If you want to jump right to the chase, you could go ahead and click that link at the top of your video description, and you can read all about this very special guest expert workshop that's happening this Sunday, and you can register right away if it resonates with you. Well, what happened to my rib? So some of you know that I've been a dancer most of my life. I was also a gymnast when I was younger, and as an adult, I like to dabble in capoeira. But the last 3 years have been pretty brutal. I've been really isolated. I've been more sedentary than I've probably ever been in my entire life. I've lost a lot of muscle mass. I've lost a lot of strength. And I'm not really able to engage in the hobbies that I love so much, that I'm so passionate about, because they simply don't exist where I'm living right now. So about 2 months ago, I decided enough was enough, and I wanted to start to take back control of my physical body. So I started strength training again. I started lifting, and it's been feeling amazing. I also started to get back into sort of general calisthenics and more acro-based movements, kind of chasing my acro dreams again. And this happened. What is that? So originally when it first happened, I was pretty shocked by it, and I was pretty positive that I had subluxed my second and third rib. So a subluxation is like a partial dislocation. I was pretty confident I had subluxed my second and third rib right there at the sternocostal joints. But now that it's more or less healed, which took 6 weeks, by the way, I think it might have just been an extremely inflamed or irritated joint capsule. So how did this impact my life? And more importantly, how is it relevant to you guys? You know that in all my videos, I'm always trying to get you to understand the intricate interconnectedness of all things in your body. And at no time is this more apparent than when you are injured, right? So if anyone's had an injury, go ahead and drop something in the comments and let me know that you can resonate with this story a little bit. And especially a rib injury or a back injury or kind of anything in the torso, right? Because suddenly you're very aware of like, oh, my arm is connected to my back. Or you go to take a few steps and you're like, oh, my legs are connected to my back. Or you even go to take a breath, right? And you realize, eesh, my breath is connected to my back. And then suddenly every cough, every sneeze, even every laugh is like a threat that you have to contend with. So this is particularly relevant to those of you with a chronic pattern of dysfunctional breathing, because in a huge majority of the cases, that pattern often started with low back pain, or it may have started with cervical pain. I know a lot of you are coming off of whiplash injuries, for example. And it can even start from some kind of traumatic, emotionally abusive situation, right? So it doesn't even have to be a physical trauma. It can also be an emotional trauma that starts this process. And you kind of go into this bracing or protective posture. Your breath gets more and more shallow. You're cutting off your oxygen supply. You're cutting off your blood supply. And now you have this increased anxiety. You have disrupted sleep, and you're in constant pain. And these connections are happening on multiple levels, right? So there's a nervous system component. There's going to be a myofascial component. There can be a mitochondrial component, right? So you might not be able to produce energy efficiently because your mitochondria are stuck in this cellular defense mode. So something like a dysfunctional breathing pattern can then lead to things like chronic fatigue. So there's obviously a blood and lymph flow issue happening there. There's insufficient oxygen delivery. And then on top of that, you have this emotional piece, this mental piece, this psychological component of being injured, of not being able to perform the way that you want, of being exhausted all the time, of feeling less than, of constantly having to protect and defend yourself, which gets really exhausting. So it's a lot. And this is sort of what I've been going through over the past 6 weeks. So now let's talk about the turnaround. What are some of the tools that I used to assist with my recovery? Number one, rest. Lots of rest. I was sleeping a ton when this first happened, and this was an absolute godsend to me that I was able to sleep. And I was thinking, God, if a pharmaceutical corporation could ever bottle up sleep and put it in a pill, this would be like the biggest seller ever, right? That's how powerful sleep is for our recovery and for our healing. Sleep literally cures everything. So it was a really nice reminder to me of how important sleep is for this healing process, and how much a lack of good quality sleep really perpetuates the chronic pain, the chronic fatigue, the chronic disease that a lot of us get stuck in. Number two, I really actively limited my mobility. So I didn't do any weighted exercises at all for my upper body. I mean, some days I was trying to do a little bit with my left arm only, but I was really being overly cautious with the right arm, not to create more inflammation and more irritation through these joints that were already so irritated and not performing their function properly. So for the past 6 weeks, more or less, I've only been doing really gentle, pain-free range of motion, especially with the right side. And unfortunately, a consequence of that is that I've once again lost some muscle mass, I've lost some strength, and I'm kind of back at square one, rebuilding again from the beginning. And even I, who should know way better, definitely overdid it about 2 weeks into my recovery, and I totally exacerbated the problem, and I set myself back more. So this was another great and painful reminder to me, and I want to remind you guys as well that patience is such an essential piece in the healing process, right? The more we try to force it, the more harm we do than good, and the longer our recovery takes. I actually had my tuning fork out pretty much the entire time, this whole 6 weeks, and this was really helpful. So, I think it was psychologically soothing. So I felt that I had some control over the healing process. It was this external tool that I could apply, and it allowed me to feel like I was actively doing something to help myself recover. So there was definitely a psychological component to it. But as many of you have experienced with this tool, I really felt like this tuning fork helped assist with the reduction of inflammation and the reduction of pain. It was a really awesome experience. I don't think I've been injured since I've been using the tuning forks. So this was really cool for me to feel this as a tool for assisting that rib to go back into its position, and also to help take down the inflammation. And then I made my own little concoction. There's not much left. There's still a little bit left. I know it doesn't look very attractive in this clear plastic jar. It kind of looks like, well, we know what it looks like, but there's a lot of awesome ingredients in this oil. And I was probably applying it 2 or 3 times a day pretty consistently to take down, again, the inflammation and reduce the pain. And this was really awesome. I don't remember exactly what's in here, but I'm pretty sure I wrote my recipe down as I was improvising it in producing it that night that I got injured. So if anyone's curious about it, just leave me a comment in the comment section and I will try to dig up the recipe for you. I don't make videos about it on my YouTube channel, but some of you know I actually used to be a product maker. I like to make all of my own body products and all of my own cleaning products. So I actually have a few tips there. If anyone's interested, you just let me know. And then lastly, and actually the main thing that I want to speak to you about today, is that I started to invite in some gentle movement therapy, including specific myofascial stretches, and also something known as Eldoa. And this is really the main point of today's video, since this is the focus of the workshop I'm going to be hosting this Sunday. So what is Eldoa? Eldoa is an acronym for a French phrase. I'm going to say it for you, but please do not make fun of my French accent. So Eldoa stands for étirements longitudinaux avec décoaptation osteo-articulaire. So this is a revolutionary technique that was created by a very famous French osteopath named Dr. Guy Voyer, who is someone who I have personally studied with. And he developed this over the course of many years, primarily as a response to what he saw as a global epidemic, specifically in back pain. And he was also noticing the failure of mainstream treatments to actually resolve or cure chronic low back pain. And so what is it? So Eldoa is a global system for the body where we utilize very specific postures to create what we would call a decoaptation, or like a decompression at a very specific joint space. So this is a targeted treatment that you can do all on your own. So if, for example, you had compression at your C4, C5 spinal segment, There's an Eldoa for that. There's an Eldoa to create more space in that spinal segment to release the compression. If you had compression at your L4, L5, right, which is so common for so many of us, there's an Eldoa for that. There's an Eldoa for the sternocostal joints, and there are Eldoas for each and every one of the ribs. So those are Eldoas that I was utilizing over the course of this past month. There's even Eldoas for the glenohumeral joint, so the shoulder joint, and even the coxofemoral joints, so your hip joints as well. And the list goes on and on. We have an Eldoa for every single specific joint in the body. So Dr. Voyer always says that you are your own best physician. And so it's really important to him and to all of his students, so including me and including my colleagues, to be able to empower you as individuals with tools to help you get that specific relief. So what is Eldoa good for? First of all of us have some compression through our joints, specifically through our spine, whether it's from just gravity and life itself, or whether it's from an actual trauma or an actual accident, some kind of impact injury. So when we create more space in a joint, we also affect all of the surrounding tissues around that joint, right? So this allows for increased blood flow, improved oxygen delivery, better nerve conduction, better lymph flow, better lymphatic flow, reduced pain for sure, spinal disc rehydration, so creating more space in those spinal segments and in the discs, and also synovial joint rehydration, better muscle tone, better fascial hydration, and better fascial conditioning, better fascial movement, improved posture. That's a big one. This is about postural realignment, this type of therapy. Improved organ function, because remember, you have these viscerosomatic and these somato-visceral reflexes. And remember that all of the nerves innervating your internal organs are coming from your spine. So you have that component as well. Improved body awareness in general, having just a greater sense of where you are in space. Improved movement patterns, again, because of this postural realignment component. Deeper breathing, because the body's finally relaxed, it's out of pain. We are conditioning the nervous system with this work. And then just overall, a greater sense of well-being. Okay, so how can you experience the power of Eldoa for yourself? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So this Sunday, November 12th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, which is New York City time, I am hosting my wonderful friend and colleague, Laura from Italy, who is an Eldoa expert and who has graciously agreed to teach a 90-minute workshop via Zoom to my community. So if you're already a member of my private Be Light community, then you just show up. It's totally free for you to join. But I really wanted to share this work with my broader audience. And so I'm also opening the doors to anyone who would like an introductory experience to this revolutionary work. If you're interested, simply click the link at the top of the video description to read all the details and to register. It's only $30 for non-members. And after the workshop, I'll even give anyone who registered for the event an opportunity to join my private community at a very special discount, which basically reimburses you for the price of the workshop. So it'll be like getting the workshop totally for free. Here's Laura herself speaking about the workshop and inviting you to join.
Hi, this is Laura. I'm here in my studio and I can't wait to teach you my masterclass titled Eldoa and the Diaphragm. This is for my friend Tara Bianca community, but not just for Tara community, it's open to everyone. This will happen on Sunday, the 12th, November the 12th. This is definitely one of my clients' favorite class, because this is a super interesting topic, super fascinating topic. They relax themselves, they work their lumbar spine, they work their cervical spine. So see you here, see you on Zoom next Sunday, November the 12th.
I'll also include all of Laura's contact info and social media handles in the video description so that you can connect with her and learn a little bit more about her work if you're interested. Okay, I hope to see some of you at the workshop this Sunday, November 12th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be great. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns at all, and I'll see you really soon.